Welcome to the rear-wheel drive made in Berlin Model Y with the BYD Blade battery. Here presented in the beautiful Quicksilver colorway that's exclusive to the Berlin factory at the moment. You can see that this is a made in Berlin Model Y because of the color, of course, this beautiful Quicksilver, but also the VIN number, which will start with XP7 for the Berlin factory. You can see that it's a rear-wheel drive because it doesn't have fog lights. These are just black plastic on both sides, so there are no fog lights. Also, there is no dual motor badge here, but many people debadge these either way, so the fog lights is the easiest way to know if you don't can see the wind. And what's so special about this car? And why do I think this is the configuration to go for if you can live with rear-wheel drive? Let's talk about that in this video. This car has great charging and a high value kilowatt hours. And what I mean by that is that you get far per kilowatt hour that is put into the battery. In addition to charging speed, it matters how efficient the car is. How far can you go for the values that you charge? This car charges great. Still held 110 after 40%, and then had a great charging curve overall. You can compare it to the other LFP model by Cattle, the rear-wheel drive Model Y that's supposedly available in the United States now, but also the old European Model Y from Shanghai had this cell, and it was it performed worse than this one. This one is much better, and it charges so flat for a Tesla, at least. Tesla is known to have a pretty high drop-off. You charge fast and then very slow. Now we get a flatter charging curve in an efficient car, which is a great recipe for a good electric car, really. This car has more range than a long-range Model Y or a performance Model Y in day-to-day driving. This is because the NCA and NCM batteries needs to be charged to 80% every day, because they get damaged if they are at the high state of charge for too long. This is not the case with LFP, and you actually want to charge these cars to 100% once in a while or every day. You really need to do that to have the BMS, the battery management system, calibrate itself, because it's difficult to see where in the pack you are on LFP batteries due to the voltage being the same. So you get the same performance at 100% as 1%, because in theoretically, but it's difficult to see what percentage you are at for a BMS battery management system in an LFP battery pack. So you need to charge to 100% once in a while, and it doesn't damage the battery at all. It's not like the classic batteries that you see in the long-range Teslas or long-range any other car, electric car. This means that the wheel-to-P range of this one is 455 kilometers. That's of course an optimistic measurement, the wheel-to-P standard, but that's the wheel-to-P. We can use that to compare to the long-range Model Y, which is set at 533 kilometers wheel-to-P. So already it's not that much more range in the long-range Model Y. But if you charge that to 80%, that means you are charging the car up to 426 kilometers following the wheel-to-P standard. That's lower than this one. That means in day-to-day driving, if you follow the guidelines and charge this one to 100% and a long-range Tesla to 80%, you will have less range in day-to-day driving than with the standard range. And I know that sounds weird, but that's the way the battery chemistry works. It wants to be at 100%. You can safely have it at 100%. And this car is more affordable, of course. The only downside is that it's rear-wheel drive and not all-wheel drive. But you know what? It doesn't really matter for most people. This car has plenty of horsepower. It's fast enough. I never felt like I needed more power. It has stable power all the way through the pack. You get your punch when you need it, but it's not super fast, of course, but it's fast for a SUV. Traction is good. Of course, the back, it's a little bit tail happy. That's a characteristic of rear-wheel drive cars, of course. But it feels super confident, and I feel safe in winter conditions with this car. Of course, another point is cold weather performance. I live in a cold climate. It's just -6 degrees outside right now, but it can get much colder than that, and especially when I'm road tripping, it can get down to -20, 25 minus Celsius. And how does this car perform? Well, we haven't seen that much tests, but I can talk from like limited experience with in a few minus degrees at least. And that's, you get the regen limit, of course, but that's normal. I get that in my Tesla Model 3 long range as well. I get the regen limit. So the thing is that LFP batteries are more prone to cold weather, affecting the performance of the battery, and that's both in charging and discharging, driving. So when it's really cold, you usually get a little bit less power, and you also charge very slowly, and the battery needs to heat itself to actually be able to take charge. I haven't had that problem with this car in these temperatures, but I also know that the battery management system and heat pump octavalve system that Tesla uses is top of the line when it comes to distributing heat to the correct components. So I'm pretty confident that Tesla has been able to create something that at least won't leave you stranded anywhere due to the difference, the low temperature. It won't leave you stranded, at least. But you might have a cold battery and charge very slowly in the beginning before it heats up. That's why I recommend with this car and any other electric car, if possible, preheat the battery before you go to a fast charger. Overnight charging doesn't really matter, but to a fast charger, preheat the battery. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention regarding the range of this one. Where do I get an advantage of the long-range Model Y? That's cold weather performance, like I talked about now. It has cobalt in the battery, so it performs better in the cold weather. But it also has longer range. When can you use that range if you need to charge to 80% every day? Well, you charge to 100% before going on a long trip. So the first stretch to a supercharger, the first stretch of the day when you're going on a road trip, you have an advantage in the long range Model Y. After that, this car charges so good and is so efficient that you don't get any advantage after that. It seems like it's basically the first stretch of the day on a road trip that you get an advantage of the long range battery. Or of course, if you charge to 100% because you know you're going to drive a lot that day, you will also get that advantage, of course. But for daily charging, again, doesn't really. There is not much difference, that's what I'm trying to say. So you have to do the consideration if you need all-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive, not if you need the range, really. The range is more than good enough on this car for most people. And let's talk a little bit about the all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive. I'm no expert on this, so I'll just talk about my experiences with driving this. Again, it feels tail-happy, it's a fun car, that's what Teslas are, usually. But it doesn't feel unsafe. It pulls you right in and doesn't slide that much. I've driven up icy road with studless tires and I've been fine. Of course, you need the speed up. Braking performance in an all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive car is identical. There is no reason to buy it for the braking performance. So if I am on an icy road and brake, it doesn't matter if I have all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive. But all-wheel drive will help you with traction when you are trying to ascend hills with ice or slush or wet snow. So yeah, you need to do a consideration if you need all-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive, because this car is also significantly more affordable. It has the premium sound system. This is not the case for the Model 3, but in the Model Y you get the premium sound system, even though you choose the base trim, which is this one. So that's pretty awesome to see, really. I love the sound system in this car. It sounds fantastic. Let's talk a little bit about just the Model Y as a car. Personally, I enjoy the styling of the Model 3 way more than the Model Y. It feels kind of like a blown up Model 3, but it's a comfortable car. Very comfortable. I can understand that some people like to sit higher in the car, and it's much more comfortable to get in and out of than the Model 3, I would say. So comfort-wise, it's better. The suspension is good. This one has the comfort suspension. Very good suspension. Not as good as the Model 3 Highland, but actually surprisingly close when I've driven these back-to-back. But of course, it's difficult to compare when you don't jump between the cars immediately. Sound system is absolutely fantastic, and the space in this car is it's so roomy. This car is so roomy. It's more roomy than competitors' SUVs. You'll get everything in this car that you need to get in this car. It feels 10 times roomier than the Model 3, and it probably is a lot more roomy, and at a similar price point. I would consider Model Y, or wait for a refresh Model Y Juniper, which is supposed to come next year with the Model 3 Highland improvements, of course. But this exact car is 419,000 Norwegian kroners right now, which is, in my opinion, a steal for a new car. Insane value for just the space you get, of course, but also all the features and the range and the Tesla supercharging network, which is actually in Norway it isn't even exclusive anymore, so I should stop mentioning it. Everyone can use it, so that's not a selling point for this one in Norway, at least. But the tech and yeah, this one, the Model Y, is the most sold car in Norway for a reason. And that's even with the Tesla supercharging network open to everyone, so people still want the Teslas. It wasn't just the supercharging network. Turns out it is other stuff as well, which draws people to Tesla. And this one is priced very low for a new SUV. Competitors need to get their stuff together to compete with this car. I kind of fell in love with this car when testing it. I don't really want the Model Y. I think Model Y from Giga Berlin in this beautiful quicksilver color, which is kind of like it's silver and then it shifts to black. It's kind of like stealth gray, just lighter. It's a more dynamic color, like I've mentioned multiple times before. So this car gets my recommendation if you can live with rear-wheel drive, and it's a good rear-wheel drive. So if you can live with the best of the best rear-wheel drive, you can have this car. Maybe you can put studded tires on, then you will have no problems with traction. You can get anywhere with this car if you had studded tires on. But it'll be noisy in the cabin because the sound isolation isn't as good as the Model 3 Highland. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for giving my channel a chance, and yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this review of the rear-wheel drive Model Y from Giga Berlin with the BYD Blade battery. I really appreciate it, and if you subscribe, I need more subscribers. I see a lot of people that watch my videos but don't subscribe, so clearly I'm doing something wrong. So leave it in the comments. What do you think I need to include in my future reviews? Yeah, what is missing? I read all the comments and respond to most of my comments, so I would appreciate it if you just leave a comment. Thank you.